Welcome to The Explainer. You know, with inflation squeezing retirement savings, a lot of older Americans are understandably pretty worried. But what if the biggest financial lifeline they have is the very house they're living in? Today, we're going to dig into a record-breaking number, $14.7 trillion in senior home equity, and what it really means for financial security.
So let's start with the question that honestly keeps a lot of people up at night. You work your whole life, you save, you plan, but with costs going up, you can't help but wonder, is it gonna be enough?
And look, if that thought has ever crossed your mind, you are definitely not alone. This constant pressure from inflation is a major strain on savings. It's forcing a whole lot of people to ask that really tough question, is my nest egg actually big enough to last?
Okay, but here's where the story takes a turn. Amidst all these very real concerns, there's this powerful and frankly often underutilized asset that's been quietly growing to a scale we've never seen before. It's a potential lifeline for millions. And there it is, the number that just changes the whole conversation. $14.7 trillion. I mean, that's not just a big number, right? That's a massive reservoir of wealth that could totally redefine what retirement looks like in America.
So, where does a number like that even come from? Well, this isn't some abstract money in the stock market. Nope. This is the total accumulated value locked inside the homes of Americans who are 62 and older, and it's a brand new record high.
Before we get any deeper, let's just make sure we're on the same page with what home equity even means. Put really simply, it's the part of your home that you truly actually own. All you do is take the current market value of your house, subtract whatever you still owe on the mortgage, and boom, that number right there, that's your equity. All right, so how on earth did this number get so gigantic? For our first section, let's break down the math behind this incredible boom.
I mean, the growth has just been incredibly fast. Just look at this. From the second quarter of 2025 to the third, that's just 3 months. Senior home equity shot up by nearly $300 billion. That's stunning.
And the math that got us there is pretty simple, but it's really powerful. The main driver was about a 2% jump in home values, which added almost $300 billion in wealth. At the exact same time, you can see that senior mortgage debt, it barely budged. That huge gap between the two is what fueled this new record.
Which, of course, brings us to the most important part of this whole thing. Why does this massive number actually matter? What does it mean for the millions of Americans trying to navigate their retirement years? Well, Steve Irwin, who's the president of the National Reverse Mortgage Lenders Association, says this is way more than just a statistic. He points out that this giant pool of wealth is a potent financial tool that can directly fight back against those top retirement fears we talked about at the beginning.
So what does that look like in real life in practical terms? Well, it means having a way to offset the rising cost of, everything. It means having a buffer if your other income sources don't quite cover things. And ultimately, it's a way to get more peace of mind and create some real long-term financial stability.
So you're probably wondering, how do people even get to this money without selling their house? Well, one of the main tools for this is something called a reverse mortgage. It's a special kind of loan for homeowners 62 and up that lets them turn their home equity into cash. Now, it's a complicated product for sure, with its own risks and costs. But the key idea is that the loan usually only gets repaid after the owner doesn't live in the home anymore. When you step back and look at all this data, it really points to a fundamental shift. For decades, retirement planning was all about pensions and 401ks. But now, the home itself is moving from the background to become a central pillar of financial security in later life. And that leaves us with a pretty provocative question to think about. As all those traditional savings plans face new pressures, is the family home becoming the new de facto retirement plan? It's a profound shift in how we think about our money, and it's happening right under our feet.